Welcome to Built for This, the podcast where purpose meets performance. Hosted by business strategist and human behavior specialist Carly Pepin, this show dives into the real stories behind high-growth businesses. Let's bring life to your vision.
Awesome. Welcome, guys. So today we have a really exciting interview. I have Krissy Webb, and Krissy Webb is the co-founder and executive director of Student ACEs, a not-for-profit organization dedicated to inspiring and developing young men and women of character, honor, and integrity. The organization's mission is to create champions, which is guided by their core values: command respect, honor your world, aspire to greatness, maintain courage, possess a work ethic second to none, inspire others, own a winning attitude, never settle, sacrifice yourself and team. If Krissy is not with high school students, you will find her on the softball field with her daughters and the ACES Elite softball team. She's a head coach. She's a warrior for our youth, and her passion is unwavering. Welcome, Krissy.
Thank you, Carly. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited about this one. Tell me a little bit more about why you became a founder, why you actually started Student ACEs.
So it was actually my dad and I that started Student ACEs in 2013. I have twin daughters, as you mentioned in my bio. Twin daughters, they're 14. So when they were babies, I asked my dad, who will be running our country? What does that look like? What are we doing to prepare the next generation of leaders? And from there stemmed Student ACEs. So we've found a need and went to work.
That's awesome. And when you were looking at leadership development within schools, like what did you see that was a gap that you thought, I need to build this, I need to create something for my kids
We
or other kids?
we met with some of the principals and asked what leadership programs they had in the schools, how they were teaching character, real life skills. And actually, my alma mater, we met with the principal of my high school, and she said, no, we're not doing much. There's a lot of testing, but if you could create positive behavior change amongst the student athletes, then you can create positive behavior change amongst the whole student body.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a real aha, like it clicked. I still consider myself an athlete, but I played sports my whole childhood and growing up through high school. And my dad coached us and hired athletes. And so we found that that's how we could really create change, positive change.
Yeah, amazing. And when you say like you're doing these leadership programs, tell us a little bit more about like what the leadership program looks like with these student athletes.
So as you mentioned, champions, our mission statement's very simple. It's we create champions, and champions, you read, our core values. So those are our core values. So each workshop or our flagship program, our captain summits, are centered around research-informed curriculum that focuses on each one of those core values. So our flagship program, we bring in student athletes from all different schools to one setting. Now, some of these kids compete against each other. We're in Palm Beach County, and very good athletic programs, and they compete against each other. Now they're in one room. It's 20-hour course. It's 4 days out of the school year, and they problem solve. It's a class mixed with short presentation, but then role playing, case studies, team building, very, very interactive, because that's how we find that the students learn best. So that's our flagship program. Captain Summits bring in captains from all different team sports. It could be one school, or we have several schools that come into one setting. And we talk about the roles and responsibilities of a captain, because a lot of students are selected to be the captain, or athletes are selected to be the captain, and nobody says, okay, this is what your responsibility is now. So what do I do? It comes with a lot of responsibility, and leadership isn't always easy, and you're not always liked. And how do kids handle that? So that's our captain summits. And then we have workshops. So we module out our curriculum. So our flagship program into short workshops, an hour, 2 hours for a specific team or group of student athletes. And then we have one physical location called the Student ACES Center in Belglade. That's open every single day for student athletes in the Glades region, which is a very underserved community.
That's awesome. And I'm really curious too, because it sounds like this is very comprehensive, obviously now because she's doing it for a while. When you first started, was it something that you thought was a side initiative and then it built into something bigger, or had you always had this idea like this is going to be a full-blown business?
So I am just like my father. I'm the oldest of three girls, wired just like my dad. And nothing we ever do is just half. You could probably find the word that I'm going to use. But we don't really do anything at a slow pace or speed. We go full force. If we're going to create change, we're going to do it and we're going to do it right. And it became a passion. And I mean, now a a larger organization in the area, not, huge organization, but, our budget's $2 million.
Yeah, that's very exciting. That's
So
really,
it's
really
exciting.
exciting. And when you first started, did you like first start initially by creating programs, or was it kind of just trying to figure it out, almost more training wheels dynamic? Or were you just immediately like, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm money? Yeah.
A lot of trial and error, a lot of failure,
Mhm.
a lot of people don't talk about that part. And to have anything successful, you have to fail a lot. And so we would try things, different ideas, different concepts, a lot of times overthinking it, really. Um, but we became the voice of the student athlete, we like to say. So we would listen to the kids, and it just so happened to match what research was saying or what we were doing. We would work with the kids, listen to them, say, oh, this is a need, for example, time management, right? We kept hearing, oh, I'm having trouble with managing my time. I'm having trouble managing my time. And so now it's something that we really focus on. Um, and so from the beginning, we really just listened to the students.
That's awesome. So it's just kind of creating around them in a sense.
And then, all of the like everything else that comes with running an organization as you scale and as you grow. Like I am pretty much self-taught, because my philosophy was I couldn't hire anybody or teach anybody if I didn't know myself. So from inception, a lot of the things that, you had to file or do, I did myself. I taught myself because knowing one day I'd have to hire people.
Yeah. When did you start to do your first hires? Like how deep into this?
Well, I did not. My husband thought I was a professional volunteer for a couple years because I did not get paid. Um, my dad self-funded the organization for about 2 years, and then slowly but surely, it we started raising money. And he retired. He was with a big power company. He was an executive with a big power company, local power company here, called Florida Power and Light, Nextera, which is national. Nextera is national. He retired and to do this full time, doesn't get a paycheck. But so I'd say about 2 years, and then learning how to raise money. I mean, talk about failure, getting told no a lot in the beginning because what is the proof?
Yeah.
What is the data? What are the outcomes? And so that was a big learning curve. Was so it took a little while. I would say sustainable. I mean, that's such a hard question with nonprofits because it's like for 5 years, it's like, oh, we raised $1 million total, right? And it's like, oh crap, now we have all these programs, now we're growing and now I have to raise even more money. So it's harder the bigger you get.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I think that's a really cool thing to share too, because it's not something I'm sure most people think about with nonprofits, is that in the beginning you're a volunteer because you have to have the data. So,
Right.
yeah, it's
Right.
almost like you're working for free for a while.
Yes. And I don't think I did a great job of collecting the data. That was an area looking back, going back, I would say if I could have improved one thing going
Yeah.
back, it would have been to collect more data. I'm a both, like I said, I'm wired just like my dad. We're both like problem, fix it. And this is how we're going to fix it. And then sometimes you do it and you have all these stories then later on, and you're still talking to your alumni and you're still working with these kids and are like, crap, wish I would have captured that early on. And when we were talking about hiring and how long it took, our first hire, she was with the organization for 8 years, was an alumni. It was
That's
in
cool.
our first program, and she's doing fantastic now. She's with a private foundation, and we still have breakfast and she's doing great. But she was with the organization for 8 years. She was our COO. So so that's what it's all about is, and now our manager at the Student ACES Center, she's an alumni as well. She was my mentee. And so when you have full circle moments like that, where the kids that you serve become, that's what it's always been all about, is that next generation of leaders.
Yeah, I love that. That's really
Yeah.
cool. That's
Yeah.
inspiring to see them come back in
Yep.
this way. Yeah. So I'm curious, even that data dynamic, it's so smart. You're like, should have collected it earlier. How do you guys collect the data now? Like, what are the systems, the processes to ensure that you have all the necessary data to help the company thrive? You literally get paid for data now. Yeah.
Yes. And it's hard, especially when you're right. It's your baby, right? It's my
Yeah.
baby. It's everything, everything I do, everything. Um, but my kids are now in 8th grade, my girls, so they're going into high school. So now they're at the age of the students that we work with. Um, and like you mentioned, softball team, their softball team, we're doing longitudinal study. So it's everything is centered around that. It's like, what's the story and how are you going to tell it? Because if you can capture the data, then you can really help more kids, right? So the way that we have several methods, I do have a program evaluator, and she helps us with our strategic plan. Um, and she's a consultant, so she's on retainer, and she handles all our KPIs, key performance indicators for anybody that's listening and curious about these acronyms. And then CQIs, which is continuous quality improvement. And so everything in our programming and our curriculum, because we write all of our curriculum on our own, and we craft all our programs on our own. So a lot of nonprofits and organizations that work with youth purchase programs. Well, we created our own. My dad has written, I think, 7 books by now, seven books. And that's all centered around our curriculum, as well. So she ensures every student that steps into one of our programs is receiving the same information. And then we can say, okay, X amount of students can now, they understand the difference between trust and respect, or, all of the core values that we teach. And then we have a database. So it goes into a system called Web Author, where all of our data and students are, all the information's put in there, surveys, post surveys. And then we have another system called Track Solutions. That's all for our Student ACES Center, because that's it's an after school program. So it's very intricate in terms of what we're collecting: household data, student data, information, and all of that.
That's very cool. And so I'm curious too, because even this dynamic of like your flagship program, do you guys just implement it in any school that wants it? Are you particular, kind of like people pick their clients? Are you particular with picking schools? Like, what does that look like for you?
The flagship program is currently only offered in Palm Beach County. So with Palm
Mhm.
Beach County schools. So the first 14 schools that register that they're going to be in the flagship program can nominate 6 students, 3 males, 3 females, and it's actually held at a local college. So they come to us. And so that's when we have all the different schools in one setting. So that's the flagship program, and that's the program that really is going to stay housed for right now, unless we move, housed in Palm Beach County.
Okay. And
That
I'm
was
curious,
how we started. That's the
yeah,
first
I'm
program we
curious
had.
too. What's like the dynamic and the reason why you keep it in Palm Beach County for now?
We started that program here, and the
Mhm.
relationships, that's a program that you really have to have good relationships with the schools,
Okay.
because they're driving the kids. So transportation purposes, a lot of logistical,
Okay.
situational, because a lot of them, they go back to school. So we did a 1 day, I think it was a captain summit though, in Ohio. And we
Mhm.
had students from all different schools in Ohio come to Ashland University, but that wasn't flagship. Flagship occurs 4 times over the course of the year. So you have one in, say, October, November, say February. So you have it 4 times throughout the course of the year
Okay.
for
And the
8 hours.
captains. Oh, yeah.
for 8 hours. So
How do
all
you
day they're
keep
excused.
kids' attentions all day?
It's a lot of fun. The flagship, I think the longest lecture or the longest our PowerPoint lecture is anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then we'll do case studies. So situational, right? Get in groups of 10. We break them up in groups of 10 and we say, this is the situation. You're the captain of your team. One of your teammates is being bullied. Um, the whole write up. And then they either have to act it out, they have to solve it, and then they present out. So
Yeah.
it's more skills than just when we say case studies, it's public speaking, it's working together. It's all of those life skills that these kids need.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think people or they underestimate how difficult it can be to keep the attention of younger individuals. My husband and I, when we do personal development workshops, sometimes we will bring their kids and we love having them, but you have to really change the dynamic of how you're doing it. They work faster and they catch on to things more quickly, which is awesome. But that means it's like I have to like engage with them while engaging with this group, and it's different. It's hard to keep them
And
activated.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. And the critical thinking, though, is the area that I find is lacking
Mhm.
because a lot of the things say it's a case study or it's something, pick somebody that you consider a leader. A lot of it's going based off what they're seeing on social media or what they are seeing flashing it. It's such a quick that they're going to, what they see last or what they don't, their problem solving is not
Mhm.
as good because everything's in front of them. But knowing how to use it is also, I find that skill set lacking. They don't go deep into why, right? Like I don't know how old the audience is, but we didn't have Google, we had encyclopedias and we had
Yeah.
card catalogs. I mean, that sounds ancient, but we had to
I
research things
remember
and
when internet first came out and
me
like
too.
you still
Dial
couldn't
up.
even,
Yeah,
yeah, the
it
dial
like noises. Yeah.
and you like
Yes.
had to wait like 30 seconds for a
Yes.
page to load
Yes.
and you got to go
Yes.
card catalog in the
Yes.
library. Yeah.
Research papers, all of that. And
Uh,
I mean, I would put myself up against anybody, that age group in terms of resourcefulness
yeah, it's
because
different.
you know how to use both, right? You have what's
Yeah.
new, and I can understand the new, how to use the new, but then you have your way, which was, you had to figure it out. We had to get places with no GPS. I mean,
Yeah.
we'd go to
We had
parties and it
the
would be like a
physical
thick
giant maps.
mailbox. Yes, yes, yes.
It's
And
actually
that
kind of fun.
Yeah, yes. Yes. I mean, I don't even know how, but we did somehow. I mean,
Yeah.
Hey everyone, it's Carly. If you're really resonating with what we're talking about and want to get clear on what truly drives you, what your core values are, head on over to my website. In the tools and tips section, there is a free values assessment. And this is a quick exercise that's going to help you to uncover what actually matters most with you so you can lead and live with more clarity, fulfillment, and momentum.
I didn't have a Garmin. I think it was a Garmin, and must have been 25 years old when I got a first
Actual GPS
navigation
tracker.
thing.
Yeah, or when it like first had Google Maps and you could print it out. And you're
Yes.
like, now I
Yes.
have directions instead
Yes.
of, again, those maps were huge. They would
Huge.
take up half of your car and you'd have
Yes.
to pull over,
Yes.
figure out where you
Yes.
are. Yeah, or map it out before you leave. Yeah.
But we were resourceful. We figured it out, and I think that everybody, with technology created a lot of dependency. And so if we can,
Mhm.
our goal is to always try to get them to think critically because it's such a, gosh, you have to be able to do that in life.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. I'm curious as well because I didn't even think about this. Something that you mentioned is that a lot of the younger individuals are looking on Instagram for someone as a leader, right? Like it's some social media sort of person or a TikTok influencer. How do you work with that? It never occurred to me that that would be considered a leader. I look at it and I'm like, those are just business people. Like they just have a business and they're selling me something.
And it's not really maybe the person either, right?
Yeah.
So what qualities and characteristics are you looking for leader? And why are you saying that you consider them a leader? And so then we break it down from there. So, but you don't know the person. So we'll challenge them. We will challenge them to because what we say to the students is you're going to say something or you're going to make a decision like that, and you're going to select your person or whoever, whatever case study we're working on. You want to be able to back it up.
Yeah.
So why? And you keep going to why, and that makes them think critically, and then you can teach them from there.
That's really cool. I'm sure you guys get some really interesting answers where you're like, oh, I didn't look at that person that way. And even you get like a new light for it.
Yeah, well, it's so crazy because a lot of them, if you go around the room, I can't remember what exactly how we told them or what the exercise was, but we told them to select, I think it was a leader, select somebody that you think, changed history or that you consider a leader. And like a lot of the groups picked the same person.
Huh. Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So these are the data things that you're like, okay, what am I seeing here? Like, why would they all, is this a moment in time that they're learning maybe if they're all, because they're all juniors in high school.
Yeah.
So are they, are they learning this at this time, or are they studying this person? Because the curriculum in the public schools is the same. So next year I made a note, next year I want to see when we do this class next year, they're around the same time if they pick the same person.
If it's the same one.
Because we told them no more. You can only one group can have this person. So then we, make adjustments.
Yeah, no, it's actually really interesting. And it'll be cool to see if it actually aligns with like the educational dynamic that they're focused on.
Yeah, and they're not learning about people, we like to teach them also, like, oh, have you ever heard of this person? Or let's say, it was who was it was I think it was Flight 92 when they stormed the cockpit, and
Yeah.
and these kids weren't even born.
Yeah. Isn't that
So
wild?
so we'll show clips and stuff, to them of different people who really made a difference.
Yeah. It's funny because my sister wound up, she switched, she has twins, by the way, and she
Oh, really?
switched. Yeah, they're so funny. They're so funny.
I love having twins.
Twin girls.
Great.
I love having twin nieces. She loves having twins. I'm sure all
Yeah.
the people who are listening to this have twins. They're like, yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
It's fun. But she has twin girls, and she switched her and her husband to like a good school. And it was funny because one of my nieces came home one day and she was like, I think 8 years old or something. And they had talked about DB Cooper in school, the guy who like robbed the bank and jumped out. But she was so enthralled with it. And she's like, they never found him. And she's telling me this whole story. And I was like, this is cool because it's like they're teaching them so much more in the curriculum like that I never got when I was younger. We kind of got like basic public school education of things that you look at now and you're like, that's interesting. Why didn't anyone tell me that? That's interesting. And they come home with like the really like these
Oh my
cool
gosh.
stories. And
Yes.
it's like if they're not engaging in that, I love that you guys are adding this dynamic because it's like if it's not engaged in that at the school system level, it's like where are they getting it? If we as parents aren't sharing it, which is not always realistic because it's like depends on your job, it depends on the workload, it depends on what your life looks like. It's
Yeah.
like where do they get it from? So it's cool to hear like just how you're integrating
Yeah.
it in these new ways.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
curiosity. I find that, you know, curiosity is a little bit lost, which is kind of sad, because it's like, why does like, why do things happen the way they happen instead of face value, right? So if you can, you know, guide kids to be creative and play, we used to play outside. We didn't have the other stuff that these kids, we played outside for hours. I mean, and just in the street.
Yeah.
So we had to be creative and think of things to do and all of that. So we try to get them to do that at the high school age. It works and they
That's
love it,
cool.
you know?
Yeah, that's actually really cool. I love that. And I'm curious, like, as you're measuring these outcomes, like, as you're observing these kids, do you have the schools get involved in measuring the outcomes, or are you just looking at when they come on quarterly? I'm just curious, also, what's realistic for the schools?
Well, especially with a school district. I mean,
Yeah.
with a huge school district, they're they've got their own they've got their own stuff going on. But we share it, right? So we have a quarterly newsletter that we put a lot of our outcomes in, and then with grant reports, with impact reports, with communication specifically to the school, they get a recap after our flagship program or our captain summits, and it says this is what we found, because we will we'll gather the data and we'll share it with them so that they can use it accordingly. But that's pretty much it. And then we have a software called Honest Game, and it's NCAA eligibility software, academics. So you put the students' transcripts in, and it literally spits out a report that says how academically eligible they are, whether it's for Division I, Division II, Division III, or NAIA, based on their academics. So it's cut and dry. There's no gray.
Okay.
It tells them exactly where they stand. And then now we have a new tool that Honest Game has under their software. It's called Recruit Assist. So they can literally, it'll help them. We're not in the recruiting industry at all. But if it's a tool that, what we provide is the tool that the students can use to help them.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. I know that's
There's
big
a lot
need.
in that space right now. It's hard.
Yeah.
Very
That's
hard
cool.
for high school students.
Yeah.
So.
As they're preparing for college and all the different dynamics that, yeah.
Yeah, with transfers and everything, there's not as many, spots available for kids coming out of high school for sports.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So they have to
typical.
get creative with it. Yeah.
It's competitive then.
Junior college. Yeah.
Mhm.
It might not be exactly what they think right away. So
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I'm curious too, because even that is like as you see kids move from junior high to college, like are there some that just aren't going to get into sports programs in college? Is that like a reality?
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be good, they're competing against kids from all over the country and other
Hard.
countries.
Yeah.
And so, but what I always tell them is, look, if it doesn't, you always try to walk on it. If that's what you really want, but you have to have a plan B.
Yeah.
Sports is, even if you do make it to the pros. I mean, you
Yeah.
have, for example,
Injuries
a solid running back is maybe 2 years tops. 2
so
years.
crazy, isn't it?
Which you have to plan for your
Yeah.
future. You can make millions of dollars, it's fine, but for the rest of your life, like you have to have something after.
Yeah. And if you
And
didn't manage
taxes.
that money in the beginning well, it's
Yeah.
like then you
Yes.
how you can
Yes.
make that much.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have to plan it one injury
Yeah.
away from like not having an income. So that's what we always tell the students. And then if you don't make it in college sports, I played intramurals in college and I had a absolute blast.
Yeah.
Flag football wasn't a sport in high school when I was in high school, but I played flag football in college and it was so much fun. Softball, all of the intramurals, and that was a blast. So you can always play, and you can get a job in the sport that you love. It doesn't always look the same way for everybody. Everybody always has, a lot of the kids want to be professional athletes, but there's only a limited amount of spots.
Not everyone will be.
5
Yeah.
basketball starters on a court. I mean, that's hard.
I love that. So you're also teaching them like these life skills in a sense where it's like this is what else is available in this industry. It's like what else could you do? Where else could you enjoy it? Do you guys get into financial skills? Because I know that that's tricky with, especially if someone did become a new athlete. I know they're paying college students a lot differently now, and all of a sudden you have these kids who didn't have this kind of money, who have this money, and that's why we see a lot of these younger individuals just blowing cash.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's so hard. We are not the experts in
Yeah.
everything, but what we are is we have a very good network. So, for example, my one of our financial advisors and where our investment accounts are held, I went to high school with him, and so he played football at where did he play football in New York somewhere? Right, Fordham. Played football at Fordham. And so he was a student athlete. I went to high school and I trust him. And so he is managing one of our accounts. And so we're always looking out for him. He's always looking out for us. What do these kids need to know? What do we need to know? He also manages money for some athletes. So what are the trends? What are people's, then he comes and speaks to our students. Bank of America is a huge partner of ours. They're actually the ones who donated the building to us in Belgrade.
That's cool.
So they had the building and then they said, do you want the building? And we said, sure. We never had a building before, but a lot of work put into it. And so they've been a great partner of ours, and they have several programs that either work with our team or directly with the students at the building. So we've done some programs where our students, we've given them $20 to go open an account. They sat with the banker. They can't touch the $20, but until X amount, I can't remember what time limit I set on it, but they got to be in a bank, sit with somebody that was what it felt like to open an account and be an adult, which
Yeah.
was really cool. So we've had several different programs as well where we've paid the students. And like if they're putting in just as much work as any of the employees would be, why wouldn't these kids get paid for their work and their intellectual, they're contributing to all of the things. And so we've had some different programs where our students have gotten paid, and then we have internship programs at the Student ACES Center. So we have a contract with the county, and we get reimbursed, and the interns get paid, and we partner with different entities in the Glades region, and they work there over the summer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So they
I
learn
think
all of
that's so
those
much
skill
fun.
sets. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It's cool because again, I just I don't know. I was a kid, loved working, by the way. I had fun.
Me
I would
too.
help my mom, and then,
Me too.
when it came time and I could work, I did the ROP program where you could like you skip out on school early as long as you get a job. And then I got a
Right.
job and I like really had a lot of fun.
Me too.
But it was cool to balance that responsibility. I think sometimes we let the pressure off kids thinking that they can't handle it where oh, kids have fun. Like they can manage it. They bounce back pretty fast, faster than sometimes adults.
And life is hard. You have to figure
Yeah.
things out. I same with me. I got a job at 15 years old. No, 16 because I drove there. Well,
Yeah.
I always babysat way before then. So, but I worked for a private investigator's office every day after
Oh, that
school.
sounds so fun.
It sounds so much fun, but it was like insurance. So
Was
every
it?
night the
Okay.
reports. There was one time there was an affair, and that was kind of cool because I had to listen to like what was going on. That was like the most I got it. Um, but with a lot of people that like, oh, the person's walking and they're not supposed to be walking. But I learned so much. So if you look at it, and I tell the students, if you look at it from a learning perspective, like every
Mhm.
job that I had, I worked from six as soon as I could get a job. I mean, I always had it during college, like I always had a job. And
Yeah.
like I have to work. But if you take it as a learning, whatever your goals are, or whatever, you want to do in life, and you learn from each job that you have and other people, right? Like
Yeah.
wherever you're working, learn from other people and surround yourself with people that are smarter than you so that you can always learn. Because if you're the smartest person in the room all the time, you're never gonna
You're in
grow.
trouble.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
You're
Yes.
hanging out in the wrong
Right.
room.
And that's what I
Yeah.
tell the kids all the time. I'm like, I'm learning more from you
Yeah.
guys than you guys are learning from me all the time.
That's so cool. That's
So,
so true. That's so true. It's funny, my first job, I almost got fired because I was so shy. And they're like, and I was working in a retail store, and they're like, how are you gonna get her to like speak up? But I'm funny, I'm like, I've been on hundreds of podcasts today.
yeah, that's so
Yeah,
crazy that works
it's
out.
crazy, but they got me to get out of my shell, and they actually would have let me go, but they were friends with my dad, so they kept me on for a little bit longer. And like after 6 months in, she's like, "We almost let you go. Like you're lucky your dad." She's like, "You're doing great now," and I was like, "Thanks, Candace."
Well,
That was
I
really cool.
probably would have fired myself. I was such a slow typer. I'm like, and I'm typing out these reports, and I'm like so slow. And my friend from school, it was her dad's um private investigator's office, and I'm like, she's spitting out all these reports, and I'm like still on half of one, like
It's
listen and type. Like I'm not good at this at all.
It's so fun. Um, and tell me more about the center now, right? So you got the building from Bank of America. What did you guys create with the Student ACES Center?
So again, a lot of learning and a lot of figuring it out. Because we just got the building. So it was like 1980s building. It had like red velvet and like I mean in a bank building you have safety security boxes, you have a vault, you have bulletproof glass,
This is so
right?
cool.
So we're like, okay, well, we got to get this glass. We didn't have any extra money. I mean, it wasn't, we had to raise money, capital money, and we did what we could with what we had, really.
Yeah.
Couple of volunteers, like everybody we knew. I mean, we had somebody stop by, and it's like felt super blessed because he did ceiling tiles. We needed new ceiling tiles because the ceiling tiles were super like things that you don't even think of. There was rats in the ceiling.
Oh
There was,
no.
I mean, it was a old, a building that wasn't used
Yeah.
at the time. Imagine. So we had to do a lot of you know, figuring out who could do what. And I mean, I think my dad almost lost his eye pulling with a crowbar, pulling out the safety boxes. He's not a construction
Yeah.
guy. And my husband helped out as much as he could. He, you know, he works with heavy equipment. So we, and here's another part, we talk about data, insurance, liability, like, my God,
Yeah.
didn't know what I was doing with liability. Like, it was just, it was, a lot of lucky
Yeah.
situations, really. And then we renovated as much as we could. We had the grand opening in, I think it was November of 2018. 2018 November, and then COVID happened,
Yeah.
or it was the next whenever COVID was, March of 20, was that
Um,
2020 or
I think it's
2019?
20. Honestly, I'm not sure anymore. I thought it was like 2022, but maybe it was
Oh.
earlier. I don't remember anymore.
Right after we opened the building, then that's COVID was not far along after.
Oh yeah,
So everything
2020. It's 2020. You're
2020.
right. Yeah, I got
Okay.
married in 2022. I was allowed to go to Italy. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so 2020. So then we opened it at the end of 2019.
Okay.
And
Okay, so like
shortly
the year
after was
before.
COVID. So everything that we were prepared for, like hours, um, was thrown out the window. We opened as a distance learning center. So then we had kids from 9 or 7 a.m. when school starts until the end of the day. And I had my college athletes home because it was spring break. They came home for spring break and they couldn't go back. So
Yeah.
they had to do all their schoolwork. We set it up all computers along the wall. Tire Kingdom was awesome. They donated a lot of computers. Jamie, who now she's on our board and she does all of our communications and PR and is a good friend of mine. She was working with Tire Kingdom at the time, and we had a partnership with Tire Kingdom, and they donated all these computers, and we were so grateful because we didn't know it was going to be COVID and everybody's going to be doing schoolwork at the building, but it just so happened that we had all these computers and it worked out. And then we found out that some kids were opting out of going back to school without telling us. I was like, what are you doing? We're not a school. Go back to school. It was good. They were getting, Becca and I, who was the alumni that I mentioned to you earlier that worked with us. We were hands-on. We were out there every day because our other programs, we decided that we weren't going to do virtual with our other programs because the kids were they were turning their cameras. It was too much, like mentally for these
It's
kids.
hard.
It was, so we put all of our energy into the Student ACES Center. So we were on site with them doing their homework. We were in their classes with them so we could really see the gaps in the education system. And then from there, we redesigned all of our programs for the Student ACES Center. And now we have a big
That's
program
awesome.
called the Passport Program, and it's 7 different destinations: academic, career, health and wellness, mental health, entrepreneurship, character, college prep, and career readiness. And that is all based on what we were seeing at the time was what the kids needed when they were in school, or lack thereof.
Hey everyone, it's Carly. So if this conversation is really hitting home and you want to get a real snapshot of what's working and what's not in your business, head on over to my website in the tools and tips section and you can have the business performance health check. In just about 15 minutes, you're going to see where the friction is and where your next growth opportunity lies within your company. Yeah, that's actually really cool. So you kind of got to have this hands-on experience of seeing these gaps,
Yeah.
that maybe you wouldn't have seen otherwise. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
And it wasn't It wasn't, a lot of what we would hear is, oh, these kids need tutors. Oh, these kids need tutors. And what
Yeah.
we found is that they just needed somebody to sit next to them and say, okay, finish that question. Finish that and like submit your work. They would stop because they get distracted so easily.
Yeah.
They wouldn't finish the assignment. I'm like, finish the assignment.
Interesting.
Check it off. So teaching them how to like just finish it. Like I'm not leaving here next to you until you finish this assignment.
Yeah, which is funny. It's such a great life skill because it's like sometimes people are just constantly walking away from projects and there's like this whole like procrastination thing in the world.
Yes.
We're like,
I'm like,
okay,
how
but
you're
you're
gonna
gonna
get a zero.
yeah,
You get a
you have to
zero.
finish.
You're gonna fail the pot. Like and you're 2 questions away from finishing this assignment. Just finish it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we found in a lot of, and from there, that's when we found out like, okay, if you can do a task that would take you 3 to 5 minutes, right? Like write your personal statement or then you have this whole portfolio of things that you accomplish, whether it becomes your resume or your bio or whatever you're going to use it for. And so they layer on different things from our passport program um, to set them up for success, because they can't, like you said earlier too, they can't for a long period of time, ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, they're not gonna do it. It's really difficult. Yeah, it is. It's you got to get creative.
I mean, for me too. I mean, it's like, it's like you got my attention, or, I want to do things I want to do. So and then
Yeah,
you want to make sure you have quality. Your work is quality, and you're not just doing things just to check it off. You really have to do it and make sure it's right. So there was
yeah.
two learning components there.
Okay, that's awesome. And so now, like at the Student ACES Center, how often is it open? Are you only doing it when programs are there? Or is it something that's constantly accessible to the students?
It's open every day, so we have a
Mhm.
staff out there. I am not out there as much as I used to. I would love nothing more than to be with the students all the time. Honestly, it's my favorite part, but I run the organization. So we have a staff, we have a team out there of 3. And so it's open every single day from 2 till 7. And then on days off from school, it's open early, 11 to 6, I think. And then holidays, same 11 to 6. And then over the summer, 9 to 6, I believe. So open every day. There's programming every day. They can do the passport program every day. It's a safe, stable, nurturing center every day. We turned the vault into a game room. It's really cool. Like, it's a
That's funny.
state-of-the-art
I
game
was
room.
wondering what you
Yes.
did with the vault.
Yes. Yeah, well, we couldn't do a lot
Uh,
because we weren't allowed for code. We weren't allowed to, like, there's a door, a huge vault door. It's like thousands and thousands of pounds. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
bunker, really. I mean, the air doesn't even come in. It's a shell, so we turned it into a game room. The walls are all black. They sign stuff with chalk. We have every gaming system that you can imagine. We have NBA All-Stars, um, a coding computer, and all kinds of stuff in there. So we have that, and then we have like a little shuffleboard, I think that's what you call it, where you
Mhm.
slide the things down. And we've had ping pong, little workout area, a whole computer lab, and then the passport room is we closed the tellers, the drive-through tellers,
Yeah.
closed that in and made that the whole passport room. So that whole area of where the tellers were is now the passport program room.
Oh, that's fun. That's very
Yeah.
cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have
And
2 animals. We have a
yeah,
hamster and a spotted gecko.
that's fun.
So
That's cool.
interesting.
And
It's our
I'm
third
curious,
hamster, I believe.
you have 3 hamsters? Oh, this is your
No, our
third.
third.
Oh, just the third one.
Hamsters
Yeah.
don't live long,
They
FYI. Did you
really
know
don't.
that? No.
Yeah, they don't. Oh, and I'm curious as well, because something that you mentioned in the beginning of the conversation is, when you were thinking about like working with students and talking to the schools, like the schools had mentioned as well, like when you work with the athletes, it impacts the rest of the students at school. How have you guys been able to track that data? Like, what does that actually look like? Like watching these athletes, how it's sort of integrating with the rest of the school.
Um, it's hard because, again, we're not
Mhm.
on the school side,
Very
but what we
hard.
do track is
Yeah.
our alumni and
Okay.
what they're doing. So in our flagship program, they're juniors, and then senior year, they go back, like, they have all the tools to be the leaders on campus.
Mhm.
So I am constantly in communication with our alumni, and I'm calling our seniors and high school alumni. And so then every year, and then we bring the seniors in front of the juniors. Actually, last year was the first year we did it, and I loved that we did that. See, we're always doing different things, like to say, okay, what about impact? But we brought our seniors back when the juniors from the flagship, where the current flagship program was, and we set up a panel. They got to ask them all the questions, and so that's when you see it, right? Yes, we have data that shows, okay, because they received all of this, therefore they're prepared, right? And not every kid is a leader, and we say 10%, but
Yeah.
everybody can have good character.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're emulating those proper behaviors. And honestly, and one of the, I guess you would say, the misconception is that athletes have everything,
Mhm.
but athletes don't have time to participate in clubs, don't have time. They're not usually selected for the leadership organizations
Mhm.
because they're busy.
It's
And
really time
so we've
intensive.
had to have
Yeah.
those conversations a lot, because they're like, "Why are you working with athletes? They have everything they need." No, actually, they don't. And if
Yeah.
you watch any interviews with a lot of with a lot of the athletes in high school, nobody's worked with them yet,
Yeah. It's
you know?
actually
So,
fascinating.
yes.
Yeah. I remember when I was in high school, one of my friends, she was an athlete. She was a great athlete. But it was like I would go out and do stuff and she just would say, like, I don't have time. Like she's like training with the team. Sometimes she was training on her own. She's got to fit in all like the homework dynamics. If she's struggling somewhere, she somehow has to figure out like how to get ahead. It was difficult,
Yeah.
but she did not have a lot of time, like, as an athlete. It was wild to see. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you manage your time? And that's why we have to have it during the school day.
Yeah.
So, the students have to have they have to have decent grades to come. We don't want them out of school if they're not doing well in
Struggling.
school.
Yeah.
So we work with the schools on that, but um, it's a challenge. It's a lot,
Mhm.
and if you don't have the support system at home and you don't have, the parents, it's hard for the parents too,
Taking
navigating
on
all
their
of this.
life and what the
Yeah.
lifestyle is like, and
Yeah,
realistically,
sure.
like, what they can invest in and what they can invest in,
Yeah.
because circumstances are different for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that makes sense. And
we've worked with other student populations, but we know what we're good at. So
yeah,
you know,
you stick with that.
we stick with one thing. Yeah.
And let me ask you too, because I know that you are very intentional about funding as well, right? Where you also want to find the right fit for someone who's actually funding and partnering with you guys. So what does that look like when you're trying to find that right fit for intentional funding?
Yeah, and that's, you know, it's hard. Fundraising is not easy, and especially when a lot of grants and funders are 1 year at a time, right?
Yeah.
So you're not guaranteed it, when you're putting budgets together and you're working on different things, but a long time ago, and this is again after learning and failing and navigating this nonprofit world. And when I say nonprofit, we run the organization like a business. It's not
Mhm.
nonprofit doesn't mean that nobody makes money. It's not. People have
Yeah.
jobs and it's run like a business. You just don't want to carry a lot of net because then it's a big red flag. But we would say, oh well, this is what this grant is asking for. Maybe we could do that. Like, we could do something like that instead of just staying in your lane, knowing what you're good at. And so, which takes a lot of growth too, because as a newer organization, you're trying to figure out what you are good at. What are the students responding to? They don't have enough time to what 1 year early on, we tried to match business individuals with a student, each one. Like, and the student were saying, okay, this is how you respond. It's like, nobody has time for that. And we just figured that like pretty shortly after, we're like, this isn't gonna work. But say, okay, this is what we do, and this is what we do well. Who is supporting us and aligned in that work, and how can we work together? You
Mhm.
know, And so that's really at the end of the day what you're looking for in a funding relationship or partner. And then being honest. So anybody's in our line of work and starting out or in the fundraising space and struggling, it's like just keep going and keep asking and keep like ask the funders how as an organization you can be better. Like, that's where I really learned was, even if they told me no, I would say, hey, can I have like 30 minutes of your time just so I can learn from you and what funders are looking for, or maybe who would be a good partner. Um, and that's really where I learned a lot as well. And then over after, several times of saying no, then like Bank of America told me no when I
Mhm.
applied the first time, before we had the kind of relationship in the building and everything. And then a year after the building was donated, we became one of their neighborhood builders, which is a $200,000 unrestricted grant. So it's $100,000 each year for 2 years. And then they sent us for leadership training in Charlotte. And that was really, really cool. So, you just keep doing the work and, it's very rewarding.
That's
And it's
awesome.
hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you're like, oh, this is a perfect fit. And they tell you no. And you're like, why? You know?
Can I just have 30 minutes of your time?
But as you get, as you grow too, it's not as easy to ask because sometimes they like, newer organizations that they can teach.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. And I'm curious to you, have you ever had to say no to like funding opportunities that you thought would
Yeah.
compromise the work?
Yes. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
What I thought would be cool to apply for a federal grant, thank God we did not get it because we were close and we would have said no
Yeah. Okay.
because we didn't have the capacity. So if you don't have the capacity, a lot of grants to like there's the reporting or um staffing or whatever the situation is, we weren't going to have it.
Yeah.
And it just was going to take us out of our lanes, of what we do well. And you don't ever want that. So like when it becomes like, okay, well, we might have to, move over here a little bit and it takes you away from your mission or your lane, then that's not a fit.
Okay, that's awesome. And I'm curious too, so, even the long-term vision with the company, I know you've talked about in general, like staying local where you're at within your city, within that dynamic. So what does growth look like to you if it's not geographically based?
We get asked this all the time, but which I always like to answer because I can't really say, okay, we're not going to do that down the road. I mean, like I said before, my dad and I are kind of renegades of like, listen,
Yeah.
if there's a need, it's gonna happen. We'll make it happen, hell or high water. But um, we are the flagship program in Palm Beach County. Then the captain summits and the workshops can be anywhere.
Okay.
So we were in Seminole County, which is the Orlando area. Um, Early on in the school year. And then now we've gone into Martin County, which is a county north of us. So there are 4 counties from Martin County down. We've had program offerings. And then the passport program that I mentioned, that's at the Student Aces Center. We've been working really hard on making that maybe gamified,
Mhm.
possibly.
That's cool.
So I won't say too much on that because again,
You're
it's a
working
work
on
in
it.
progress. And but it could be a gamified and the expansion could be um very large. Again, it won't be the same dosage. When I say dosage, like an in-person, maybe it will, I don't. But right now that's not what I see it as. But it could be a gamified version. And then our curriculum, all the books are on Amazon. So if any parent or student was listening and wanted to purchase one of the books, which is what our curriculum is stems from, they're all on Amazon.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's very cool. Thank you so much for coming. This is really
Yeah.
inspiring. I love what you guys are doing.
Oh, no, thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me. Yeah, I was on
Yeah.
the field yesterday for today's Monday, so Sunday,
Yeah.
Saturday, 4 90-minute softball games coaching 14-year-olds. So, you know, there's so many lessons and everything in working with young people. I love this age, and a lot of people shy away from teens and they say, "Oh, why?" They're already set in their ways. You can't really
Not at all.
impact. And I disagree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Now it's not as easy, right? I mean, from a young age,
Uh-huh.
they hear certain words and stuff, but you'd be surprised. Teenagers, they really do. A lot of them really do want to do well, and they really absorb a lot, good and bad. So,
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think that it's very misunderstood with teenagers is they're not like only rebelling because they're like rebellious. Like it's also the age when they're trying to be more independent themselves and this type of education and leadership dynamic actually gives them the independence without having to do all the crazy pushback rebellious stuff. It's funny like you just give them that extra training and that freedom and they're getting what they want. It's
yeah,
just not in the rebellious form that we're
yes,
used to seeing in teenagers. They want it. We're
yes,
just it's like a structure now that you're giving
it,
them instead of like free for all.
yes,
Yeah.
and hold them accountable, and they
Yeah.
know who cares and who doesn't. When you talk to them, like a real
They're smart.
conversation, they're for the most part, you're gonna get respect and you're gonna get questions and you're gonna get, or, you know, that response that you're looking for back. if you talk to them like they're adults, not babies, you know, and I think that's where a lot of people get it wrong with teenagers. It's like, you can't do this or you can't do that. And instead of saying, hey, how are you gonna do this? Or, you know, however that conversation goes with that situation.
Yeah, my husband's niece and nephew, they're teenagers. I sometimes they say stuff to him, and I'm like, she nailed it. I was like, she's like, she's 14 and she nailed it. I was like, she got you on that one. He's like, that was harsh, but that was really wise. And I was like, yeah.
Oh, my girls are so hard.
Like,
So harsh.
but they have so much wisdom and they reflect these things
Yeah,
like that if you listen,
yeah,
they're paying attention, they're really smart. And if you
yeah.
just talk to them like adults, they'll
And
talk to
they're
you like an
funny.
adult. Yeah, they
They're
are
funny.
funny. They're funny
And
when they deliver the harshness.
say the most, I mean, I say it all the time. Like, I need to write a book of like one of my girls yesterday, she's the girls I coach, she's 14. She scored a perfect score on her Florida math exam. I mean, she's a Carson scholar. I mean, she's the highest level, super smart. And she's like, Coach Krissy, is noon the same as 12 p.m.? I said, yes.
Yeah.
Sure is. You know, like this is also a kid. I said, fill the water, put the waters in the cooler. And all of a sudden one of my girls is dying laughing. And I'm like, what is going on back there? She opened the bottles and poured them
Oh,
into a
you're like, I
cooler with
love you
ice.
so much. You're like, we're gonna help you with these life skills because you nailed it over here.
Good thing you're smart because like you're book smart because oof, you know, so some of these things you know, you just you look it's like a step back and you but that again, that's like the critical, you know, thinking and like the
Yeah.
that piece that's like, oh my gosh, we're
Practical
missing
life
that.
application.
Practical life, like street smart, you know. So
Yeah. Again, we're not hanging out in the streets as kids like we used to. We literally hung out in the streets as
figure it
kids.
out. Yeah,
Literally.
you figured it out. You figured out. Like if you ever kids that figure it out, if you ever go to a field, like
Yeah.
with softball, but soccer or wherever where there's field kids, like the siblings of the kids that are playing, they have their whole like governing system. Like they know how to get snacks, they know how to get things paid for them at the concession stand. They know how to dig to China. I mean, it's like their scooters, they stay, they don't leave the parking lot. It's the craziest thing. Like
That's so
those,
cool.
it's because they have to, you know, so it
Plus,
works.
they're just
Like,
sitting there and they're bored the whole time.
yeah, they don't,
Yeah.
they're crazy. They have their own little packs, like this team and have these field kids and that team, and they like them. I mean, it's like sometimes I look outside the duck and I'm like, what is going on out there?
It's really
Yeah.
cute.
It's
That's
scooters, they
actually
have
really
bikes,
cute.
they have, yeah. I'm like, how do you know the kid's not gonna leave? You know, they're on the perimeter. I'm like, there's a street. And they're like, no, they don't leave. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they noticed that. Yeah, that's awesome. That's actually cool. That's cool. So it's like watching
So,
them actually gain the street smarts just because they have to stay in this environment.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Some of the
very
best
cool.
athletes are the siblings because they watch it for so long. They just do
They
it, you know?
figure it out. Damn, that's cool.
So,
Yeah, thank you again for this. This
yeah.
is really inspiring. I think,
No.
lots of people have businesses, but they also have kids. So I think stuff like this, they really
Yeah.
love hearing and
Yeah.
all these different dynamics. And thanks for doing what you do.
Yeah. No. And I always love sharing because they inspire me. And so, you know, for anybody that's working with kids or has teenagers or whatever, it's, you know, just listen to them sometimes because you'd be surprised.
And what the feedback they should
My
give.
favorite people. Some of my favorite people. So.
And where's the best place for everyone to check out Student Aces?
So our website is studentaces.org. And my email address, if anybody ever wants to contact me directly, I always respond to emails. It's Krissy, Krissy @studentaces.org.
Awesome. Yeah, so definitely check it out and reach out to her directly if you guys have any questions. If you really enjoyed it, definitely share this with someone who you think would be interested. And again, thank you so much for coming, Krissy.
Thank you, Carly. I appreciate it. It was fun.